Hello, everyone. This is our first reading, book of Genesis from the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible, however you refer to it, chapters 1 through 3. I will be preparing videos for every reading. It's part of what I do as an online teacher, and I think the best thing to do is to watch them. One of the things you want to do in this class is to read, obviously, but to gain as much appreciation of the text as you can in preparation for writing and for taking exams and doing the study questions, watching the study question review videos, and watching these videos is just all part of doing that. Starts with reading, obviously, but I think you should probably watch these videos. In any case, we're beginning with the Old Testament, with the Bible. This is the Hebrew Bible. Okay. It is not a Christian document. It was adopted later by Christians. Of course, the complicated history of Christianity's relationship with Judaism is too much to go into. This is not a class in the history of religion. But I would like to emphasize, just for our having something of a sophisticated grasp of the things that we're reading, some things you just have to know or not be misled by. And that is, this is not a Christian document. It's a Jewish document. This is a document of the Israelites, the ancient Hebrew culture that produced what Christians call the Old Testament, part of the Bible. Genesis is probably, in Western culture at least, probably one of the most important documents, I think, in terms of historically over literally thousands of years forming people's attitudes about life, about God, about what it means to be a human being, about ethics, providing them with stories and heroes and wisdom that has guided, been one of the major guides of Western civilization. So starting with the Bible, a religious text, does not mean it's a class in religion. It's a class in classics, looking at some of the classics of civilization. So when I give you a text from the Bible, I don't presume that you approach it from a faith position any more than if I give you a text from the Quran or from the Bhagavad Gita that I do. These are just great texts that have had immense historical importance in human development, the development of human culture and civilization. So just texts that we should all know. We'll just let you know that. This class is not about believing in anything. It's about looking at great works of literature and philosophy and science and thinking about it. So Genesis 1 is an amazing document. The story of creation here. Really, the text starts here with the 1, which means verse 1. So chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was without form or shape, with darkness over the abyss, and a mighty wind sweeping over the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good. God then separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Evening came, and morning came, the first day. Something obviously sort of majestic and mysterious about the way this text opened. As a philosophy teacher in my real life, I can't help but always think of that very first. We're reading this in English translation, so I don't know if it's the first words in the original Hebrew. I don't read Hebrew. But in the beginning, as a philosophy teacher, I always think, in the beginning of what? We use that expression all the time. In the beginning of the day, in the beginning of the semester, in the beginning of the Biden administration, in the beginning of the First World War. And we know what we mean because we're talking about events or a series of events that have a definite place and time. The in the beginning here is obviously different and much more ambitious, because in the beginning seems to mean in the beginning of all things, in the beginning of creation itself, which is quite a different way of thinking about things. There's kind of different sort of story being told here, but this story in Genesis chapter 1 is an incredible story. It's a version of the creation of all things. I mean, many cultures have creation stories. How did the universe start? How did the earth start? How was the cosmos first created and ordered? And here, this incredible story of God, whoever that is, creating the world and giving it a certain structure. It is a complicated cosmology. Cosmology is a grand vision of the shape and order of the universe. And there are many different cosmologies, and this one, from a particular people at a particular time, it's mysterious. I don't know well enough to really imagine it. Like in verse 6, the dome in the middle of the water is to separate the waters from the waters. I'm not really sure. Is everything water? I mean, these are typical of these creation stories from different cultures, is that they have a certain view of the universe and then try to reconstruct it, or how would God have first created that order. And this really starts with, the separation of light from darkness, of water from land, this giving order. And then living things, right? This is verse 11, I suppose. Then God said, let the earth bring forth vegetation, every kind of plant that bears seed and every kind of fruit tree on earth. The creation of living things. And then I would say, the creation of animals, right? So this is all, I think this is leading to something. If we know the story, this is leading to some sort of culmination. I mean, that culmination, of course, is us. Verse 20, then God said, let the water teem with an abundance of living creatures, and on the earth let birds fly beneath the dome of the sky. God created the great sea monsters, and all kinds of crawling living creatures with which the water teems, and all kinds of winged birds. God saw that it was good. Creates the fish and things that live in the sea and the birds. But then we get to verse 24. Then God said, let the earth bring forth every kind of living creature, tame animals, crawling things, and every kind of wild animal. And so it happened. God made every kind of wild animal, every kind of tame animal, and every kind of thing that crawls on the ground. God saw that it was good. That repeated phrase, God saw that it was good. That's just one of those amazing things that we come across when we read ancient literature, and we're not quite sure what God saw that it was good. What does that mean? I don't know. But then maybe the culmination. Then God said, let us make human beings in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the tame animals, all the wild animals, and all the creatures that crawl on the earth. So that seems to me, it's sort of, this is written by human beings in one way or another. Right? I mean, what you believe about the composition of the Bible is really a matter of your own principles, judgment, worldview. But one way or another, it's written by human beings, and it perhaps isn't a huge surprise that everything leads up to the creation of human beings, right? But again, you come across these things, and you just kind of puzzling things, wondering at them. Let us make human beings in our image, after our likeness. What does that mean? Does that mean that human beings look like God? Is that to be taken metaphorically, that human beings are like God insofar as they have certain characteristics, like the ability to think, or what? I mean, who knows? Some people would say that it means literally we look like God, I suppose. Some people would say that's a mistake. God has no body. It must mean some, not visible, but some characteristic of us that is godlike. It's not clear from the text, right? But it's there. It has to be met in some way. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the animals. human beings. So God gave human beings. What is dominion? Is that just power over the earth? Does it mean responsibility to take care of it? And who knows? But this creation story, however you think in terms of its value, is really documenting some sort of events. It's really up to you, but it's incredibly powerful, I think, and it raises all sorts of questions and puzzles. And I think it's a good way to begin a course in sort of the classics of world literature. It's so fundamental.